Hey, Tom Rabbit! I hope you got this for your recording. Hey, YouTube out there. Tom Rabbit likes to record these. Hey, Tom Rabbit!
If somebody says of me that I'm an unbeliever, I'll say, yeah, you're right. If somebody says you're suppressing the truth and unrighteousness, I'll say, well, no, I'm not. You're mistaken about that. But I see why you believe that. And that's fine. We all have different opinions. But when somebody says, well, HogTie's a thief, that's wrong. It's not merely factually incorrect. It is bearing false witness. And under a biblical standard or any other sort of harms and benefits standard, that's a behavior we have to avoid. And then remember,
hold on a second. So you're saying that if a Christian says to you, you are suppressing the truth and unrighteousness, i.e. Romans 1, that they're bearing false witness against you?
No, I don't think. Hold on a second. Wait a second. Hold on. No, sorry. I got to think about that for 1 second. I do think that's false witness, but I think people come by it honestly.
Okay, so do you hold to the view that your mind and being is derivative from God?
No, I don't think that's the case.
Okay, so you do not classify or categorize your mind as creaturely, deriving and depending upon the mind of God. So in that scenario, God's mind would be autonomous. So then your mind being not derivative and subject to the autonomous mind of God, then your mind would be autonomous from your point of view. Your mind yeah, it by definition it's definitionally true.
No, that wasn't the part I was objecting to. I'm sorry. I wanted to let you go. I didn't want to interrupt you there.
So do you understand that you?
I don't think that's the case.
Okay, well, there's only two positions that you can take about your mind. Okay, either your mind will, in your conception, will be autonomous. Okay, it operates for whatever reason by itself, not being derivative and dependent upon the autonomous mind of God. Or you will reject that notion of your mental autonomy, and your mind will be derivative and dependent under the authority of the autonomous mind of God. It's a true dichotomy.
I agree, yeah.
Okay, so do you recognize then that when you reject God as creator, you are implicitly claiming that your mind and being is autonomous?
Yeah, I think that's the case. I mean,
okay. So if I can show that first that you concede that your mind is autonomous, but that the reasons that you give for not believing in God, you violate them instantly, this will be proof that you're suppressing the truth and unrighteousness. Let me state that again.
Please, yeah.
Okay. If I can show that your position is that your mind is autonomous, and that your rejection of God is not by, your claim is not by virtue of your mental autonomy, but that you have some reason that you have that is legitimate not to believe in God, but you instantly violate that when you operate from your worldview, that means that your reasons for rejecting God would be arbitrary then.
Okay.
So therefore, this would be, if I can show that, that'll be definitive proof you're suppressing the truth and unrighteousness. So what is your fundamental reason for not believing in the God world?
Okay, first I want to give you that you said you're going to demonstrate two things. The first one's easy. I do think my mind's autonomous. That is, it doesn't depend on another mind. So I don't know if you have some legwork to do to get that off the ground, but I'd suggest that we get it. Like that is the case.
Okay. Well, we both agree that you conceptualize and categorize your mind as autonomous.
Yeah, it's not. Well, I mean, it's part of the world, but it's not. I mean, do you mean like not dependent on another mind? I think yeah.
Your mind, the autonomous mind, from the human perspective, just simply means that your mind is and operates without the necessity of deriving and depending upon the autonomous mind of God.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, okay. I'm down with that. Okay. Sure.
Okay. Now, what is your reason? What is your reason that is not arbitrary for not believing in the God world?
Okay, solid question. Just to be clear, when you said that you could then demonstrate that means I'm suppressing truth and unrighteousness, I didn't see how that followed, but I'm not saying you're wrong. I totally want to give you the room to ramp up to do that. So let me answer that question And it was what basically boils down to, why don't I believe in God? Is that sort of central question?
Yeah. What is your reason for believing in the not God world and not believing in the God world?
Okay, it's going to sound long, but it's not. Trust me, it's like 10 seconds. It's based on an examination of the evidence. I think that the things that are put forward as evidence for God have other explanations, and just on balance of the evidence I've seen as I've walked this crazy world of ours, I've just come to the conclusion I don't think this vision of God is matches reality.
Okay, so you need evidentiary support in order to adopt the God worldview. Is that correct?
Um, the answer is yes. There's evidence. There's one sort of caveat to it, but I don't think it's helpful right now. I don't want
Okay.
to.
Okay. What is the evidentiary support for the not God worldview?
The evidentiary support for the not God worldview. Just I'm not going to take all day. Just let me gather my thoughts for a second here. The evidentiary support is that there's a diversity of claims about potential supernatural explanations for the world. And each of those claims are based on evidence that just have a more straightforward and consistent explanation. Again, I'm just giving you the bones.
Okay. Okay. Do you understand that the God world and the not God world are universal declarations? Do you understand that?
I think so, yeah.
Okay. So when you hold to the not God world, you're holding to a universal declaration, okay? A universal.
Yeah.
What is your evidence that the not God world is true?
Okay, let me address that in like 8 seconds. I'm going to mute because I'm going to yell at my kids for just 1 second. You know what it's like. Hang on. Sorry, when I yell at the kids, and it turns out my wife is here, and I just yelled at her. So I go to bed. Anyway, so my evidence. So what it is. Well, first off, I want to be clear. I don't think there is any sound deductive argument that would necessarily lead to the conclusion that there just simply can't be any gods, nowhere, no how.
Do you have evidence for the not God world?
Yeah, and the evidence is that you have to look at the evidence, for God. So I mean, there are basically three categories, and in this case, I do want you to interrupt me if you hear a point you want to address. Because
I just want you to tell me, what is the evidence that all facts, individually and collectively, universally, do not derive and depend upon God? What's the evidence for that?
The evidence is that the world exists. And as far as I can tell, it's not super well organized, and there's pain and suffering and everything else. But there are a lot of people who have explanations for that. And, traditionally it was a council of gods, in this culture or that culture. And then sort of more germane to what we're talking about, there is the monotheist approach, saying that there's one creator God who doesn't just have like a bailiwick, but is in charge of the whole place. But there are many such claims. And there are kind of, when pressed for evidence, most believers can come up with three categories of evidence. One of them, the natural world exists. How the heck did that happen? Great question. The second one being personal experience. That I've just met so many people who will say, like Veckel, for example, will tell a story.
You asked me to interrupt you earlier.
Yeah, okay, go ahead. Yeah.
Okay. I'm not hearing evidence for the not God world.
Oh no, yeah, I'm getting to that. I'm not going to go into each of these three things individually. I just want to describe to you the categories. I don't want to.
I just would like to hear, what is the evidence that indicates the not God world?
Okay, gotcha. So I'm just going to use one illustration on the personal experience thing. Beckel was folding laundry, and then he just had an experience, and it's an experience I don't understand. The Holy Spirit came to him, and he has been a Bible-believing Christian every millisecond since then. I've heard his story. It's compelling.
Okay. I'm not interested. Let me interrupt you because you said I could. I'm not interested why other people's reasons for God have failed. Okay? Kai Nielsen, the famous atheist philosopher, said all of the reasons for God may fail, but it still may be the case that God exists. What I want to know from you is, I don't want to hear about how people's reasonings for God have failed. What I want to hear is, what is your evidence that there is no
Yeah.
God, that
I
you're
got you.
in a
I
not God
understand the
world.
question. I understand the question. When I said go ahead and interrupt me, it's because there were three things I wanted to mention, and I certainly wanted you to feel comfortable to
I
step in
want
and
to
address the
hear
other
the
points.
evidence for the not
What I want
God
you to
world.
do
Can you
is
give
to
it to me
repeat the
right now,
question that I'm
please?
already answering. Yes, I can. I can. Okay, so the first category was the world exists. How do you explain that? The second category was personal experience, which I do think benefits explanation. The third category is specifically for Christianity. The Bible is really clear. The Bible doesn't say, well, there's probably some kind of creator God. The Bible has a specific rendition of God's goals in creation and God's plan for salvation and how that plan has been executed so
Yeah,
far in the
HogTie,
Book of
this is
Testament.
all extraneous. You're not
No, it's
giving
not.
me evidence. You're
I'm
not
literally
giving
answering the
me
question.
even if you even if you were to demonstrate to some people's satisfaction that the Bible is as historically as real as a comic book, okay? That's besides the point. What is the evidence that there is no God?
Okay, so let me do it this time. Okay, so there is evidence that needs to be explained, and I'm saying that on examination of that evidence, when I see that none of those three categories I mentioned, except for the Bible itself, are dispositive or discriminative, right? To say that, well, the world exists, therefore the Christian God is real, is absolutely a non sequitur because any
We're not
number of things.
talking about right now. Okay, you see, you need to focus. You need
I
to
am
answer the
focused.
question. All I'm hearing is a lot of
Yep.
Charlie Brown's teacher. What is the
Okay. Well, then,
evidence that the not God world is true?
okay. Well, if you aren't listening to what I'm saying, then I don't. It's
No,
fine.
I'm
Just go on.
listening very carefully,
Okay.
but I'm
Okay.
not hearing a clear and concise, direct answer to my question.
Okay. Because, as I said at the opening, there is a diversity of claims about possible supernatural explanations. And each of those supernatural claims is well connected to a naturalistic explanation. And I can give you an example if you want. I don't want to do it now because you'll
It doesn't.
challenge me.
It doesn't. It doesn't follow that other people's reasonings are wrong. What I want you to do is: are you able, in your rejection of the God world, are you able to establish that it is the case that there's any universal?
Oh, sorry. You explain that point. What do you mean that there's any
Yeah, a
universal?
universal. Well, you're not God world as a universal. I'm
Yeah.
still waiting. I'm hearing a lot of verbiage, but I'm not hearing a
No, you're not.
clear. I'm not hearing a clear answer. What is the evidence? You said you require evidence to believe in the God world. I want to see if
Right.
you follow that criterion. I'm not getting a clear answer. What is the
Well,
evidence that the not God world is true?
okay. So now I'm just going to, just for the moment, okay, I don't need you to interrupt, okay? I am giving you, right, my justification, which I said right at the front. I don't know that there's
No, I
any,
want evidence. What is
okay.
the evidence for the not God world?
Just hold on. An argument is a type of evidence. There's physical
Okay,
evidence,
good.
mystical
What
evidence.
is the evidence
An
that
argument is
God does
evidence.
not exist? Is it because God does not exist because people's reasonings for God have failed? Is that what you're trying to tell me?
Is that a good way of putting it? It's not a totally unfair way to put it.
Sir, is that your evidence that God does not exist because those who invoke God, their reasonings for God have failed?
No, that's not a complete rendition, but I think you're on the right track. So what I'm saying is,
Sir,
let me.
sir, I need a clear answer here, okay?
Well, then
God
okay.
does
Well, I
not
can help you with that.
exist because people's reasonings for God have failed, so that's not your reasoning. Okay.
Well,
What then?
no, hold on.
Okay,
That statement's not my belief at all. That particular
okay,
phrasing
good.
is
Then we're
not.
not. Then I don't no longer want to hear about other people's reasonings for God, whether it's good, bad, or ugly. I don't want to hear about other people's thinking. I want to know from
Okay.
you why the
Okay.
not
What else do
God
you want to
world
talk
is
about then?
true.
Yeah.
I
Well, I'm
want
trying to
you
tell you, but
to, yeah, you see,
you,
you're
you
doing what you've always
oh,
done
here we
going
go.
back to your Google Plus days. You're doing your best
Here we go.
interpretation of Charlie Brown's teacher. Wah, 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 wah. You're not giving me a clear answer. What
I'm
is your
trying
rational justification for the not God world?
because there is a sensible, naturalistic explanation that explains both the physical
It
world
doesn't follow
and
that you have an explanation that it's
the
true.
renderings of God.
No, sir, because you have an explanation, it doesn't follow from it that it's true. I have an
You say
explanation
follow.
for the God. Okay, I have an explanation for the God world, but you don't accept that explanation. Giving an explanation about how the natural world could be is not a rational justification that it is.
Sorry, when you say in Taylor it doesn't follow, do you mean like deductively? Is that what you mean? I'm going to have to agree with you.
Okay, good. So you can't inductively show that God doesn't exist.
Oh no,
right?
I can.
Right.
That is that is the type of reasoning. You're getting closer there. Yeah.
Okay, so you don't have any inductive or deductive case that God doesn't exist, do you?
No, inductive. Yes, I don't have a deductive case. I mean, I've
Okay,
heard deductive arguments where
but
they're valid, but
induction doesn't lead you to logically necessary conclusions.
right? Yeah. No,
Okay,
that's the struggle, ain't it? Yeah.
so the point of inductively, you could never show that God doesn't exist.
Hold on. Inductively, I could never. Sorry, did you say deductively or inductively?
Inductively.
Well, when you say, yes, you can. You can show things to be the case
Okay, good.
inductively. You
Show
can
me
furnish. Yeah, yeah. Hang
inductively.
on.
Show me
Almost done
right
with
now
that.
inductively how there is no God.
Okay. So yeah, we're talking about like follow inductively, that provides a justification, but we both acknowledge that doesn't logically entail. It's not necessarily.
Okay.
So
Can you show me
okay.
inductively how God doesn't exist?
Okay. Yes, but there are some gods that you and I would both agree deductively
Sir,
can be.
can you show me
Okay.
inductively how
I'm
there
trying.
is no supreme being and creator?
Inductively?
Yes.
Yeah. So there's a whole host of propositions for what gods might be. Any of them I
So
see.
okay, stop. You know what? You should be a used car salesman. Okay.
Okay. So we're going to go to
Now,
personal
listen to me
results now.
carefully.
So we're
Listen
done.
to me
That's fine.
carefully.
Yeah.
No, because the whole time I've been asking you
I
here,
don't know what to do.
you've been giving me this rambling discourse, which is
No,
all
I'm
over the
literally
page.
telling you my
Please
honest
don't
opinion.
overtalk me. Please don't overtalk me. Okay? Now,
Okay.
we're talking about God as defined minimalistically, where God is the creator, the supreme being who is the creator, who may or may not have additional properties.
Yeah.
Now,
Okay.
what we're talking about is the creator-creature distinction. Your position is that the creator-creature distinction is false. So far in the last 20 minutes, you have not given me a clear, rational defense that is understandable and intelligible as to why God as creator does not exist. Okay? I'm still waiting for that.
Okay. So now so you said minimal. You had a minimal rendering of God. Can you just
God
list
does
the
not
things you can look at?
exist because
Oh, I don't know the cause of God not existing. Is that what you're asking for? Like what
I
caused God to
want
not
your
exist?
evidentiary support, your rational justification as to why there is no God.
Okay. Well, I
The
can do
issue is
that.
not the issue. Well, first of all, that's a category error to say the cause of why God doesn't exist. Okay.
I just try to interpret your question. That's all.
Yeah.
So
Now,
maybe
I'm
explain.
still waiting. We're 20 minutes into this. I would like a
We're not.
rational justification why there is no creator God. Can you please give me it?
You can I? I might be able to. Then we're talking about an inductive.
Well, I've been asking the same question for 20 minutes.
For 20 minutes. It's been about 8 minutes, but okay. If you wanna say that. Yeah, I can give you my actual, honestly possessed justification, which of course you won't agree with, and that's fine. Is that what you want to hear?
I'm
No. Okay.
waiting. You're
So this is,
bloviating.
look, I'm not. I'm not even talking. You're
Yeah, you
you're
know
the one
what?
who's
You're
over
the
talking
same
the
old
left.
hog tie that you are on Google
There it
Plus. You're
goes.
doing the same old rhetorical gymnastics here.
This is what
What is the
he does
rational
when he can't
justification that
cope
there
with
is
another
no
person's
God?
saying. This is what he does. Do you want to hear it or not? Put yourself on mute. Not
I've
and
been
then you have
asking
all the
you.
time in the world to respond to it.
Hey, listen. My patience with your disingenuousness is running out.
So
I want you to tell me
the false
why there
accusations are
is
lying.
no
There's a
God.
false
Okay.
accusation.
If I hear you over talk me again, I'm kicking you from the room.
Understood.
Okay. I have been waiting for quite a while now, and you haven't given me a direct answer. All I've been getting is bloviating. I want to know why there is no creator God.
Okay. So now it's my turn.
I'm waiting.
Okay, so you are actually waiting. And by the way, your false accusation that I'm lying is not acceptable, but here we are. So again, I gave you my justification, and you pointed out quite rightly that it is not like
Okay, I
deductively
want you to
calculated.
stop with the bullshit. Okay, you are an effing bullshitter. Okay, I didn't ask you for an
That's not true.
analysis of what before. I want you to tell me right now, what is the rational justification that there is no creator God? Go.
I have no deductive argument that there's no creative God anywhere. My inductive argument is of every God that I've been told about, the evidence that supports that God has a better, more coherent and sensible explanation.
That's local
Everything.
atheism, my friend. That's a bait and
Yeah.
switch. Okay, that
Hold
is
on.
local atheism. Okay, PZ
Can you explain
Myers.
what is local?
PZ Myers. Listen to me carefully. Do you know who PZ Myers is?
I do.
Okay, PZ Myers tried that out. Okay, you're going from
And I
global
don't believe him.
atheism to local atheism. Now, telling me that every God concept that has presented to you so far is unsatisfactory. Okay, it doesn't follow from the fact that all of the rationales for these various God concepts are unsatisfactory to you. It doesn't follow from that there is no creator God. You told me you need a rational justification for a worldview, and in the absence of that rational justification, you dismiss it. Now, what is the rational justification for global atheism, not local atheism? Go ahead.
Okay, can you just, I'll do that. Can you just tell me, I want to know local and global. What does that refer to with
Global
atheism?
atheism is there are no gods whatsoever. More specifically, there is no creator, supreme being, creator God. Local atheism is 1, 2, 3, 5. How many gods are presented to me locally? The reasons for those are unsatisfactory for me to believe in. That's called local atheism.
Okay.
We're not discussing local atheism. You are defending global atheism. Now, I want to hear out of your mouth the rational justification why there is no supreme being, creator God.
Okay, gotcha. I understand. And that is what I thought you meant by local. And we are talking about local because I'm saying that I gave you a justification for local atheism. And
I want to hear your rationale for global atheism. Would you please give it?
Okay. As I said, I do not think that global atheism is supported by a deductive argument. And I said that right from the beginning.
Do you have a rational justification at all for global atheism?
Yes, but it's inductive, not deductive.
What is it? Is the conclusion logically necessary?
No, definitely not.
Okay, okay. So what is the inductive rationale that there is no God?
Well, I'll say again, it's because when presented with a wide array of potential supernatural explanations for the things in the world,
you are diverting again to local atheism.
No, that's literally the straight up answer. That's literally
listen to me.
Answer.
The fact that
why don't you deal
locally
with it?
presented
Why don't you deal with my actual answer?
Okay, you know what?
Tell me why my answer
I'm
is
going to
wrong.
tell you. I'm going to tell you again. My patience is really running out with you.
You don't have any patience.
You haven't changed one iota since the Google Plus day. Okay, you can. Okay, you're gone. You're gone.
Bye-bye,
You're the
everybody.
same old hog. Hit the road.
Bye-bye.
Okay. You see, this is what we're left with, folks. This guy is a pathological liar while pretending not to be. Okay? He has the gift of gab, but did anybody hear a clear, succinct, circumspect rationale that the not God world is true, other than him going, well, all of the God claims that people bring to me so far, they're unsatisfactory.
No, I didn't hear that, though. And I didn't even know he was on even... What'd you say?
Lest anybody thinks that I am being too tough on HogTie, this is the same bullshit that he shoveled out many years ago and thereafter on Google Plus days and on Discord. It's the same old crap with this guy. He will bloviate you until your eyes glaze over and you pass out from lack of sleep.
Well, I must have missed.
He didn't answer the question, okay? He said he had no deductive argument. or rational justification, but that he establishes the not God world inductively. Okay, how do you do that? Oh, well, all of the gods that people have presented to me are unsatisfactory, and I just find the naturalism more appealing. Simply accepting a naturalistic explanation is more appealing, okay, or parsimonious, which Occam's razor doesn't even apply here. It doesn't get you to the necessary conclusion that there's no God. So my point is this: he is suppressing the truth and unrighteousness because, number one, he admitted he's operating from autonomous reasoning, and he completely is violating the very criterion of belief that he uses to dismiss the God world. He completely abandons it when he adopts the not God world because he doesn't have a rational justification. Okay? Invoking that various God concepts are unsatisfactory is not a rational justification that there's no God. Kai Nielsen, the famous atheist author, stated all of the reasons for God might fail, but it still may be the case that God exists. This is the guy who wrote the atheist entry for the Encyclopedia Britannica. I think Britannica thinks he knows a little bit about atheism. Appealing to people's faulty reasonings about what is ultimate, it doesn't follow from that it's faulty, that therefore their conclusion, the conclusion is false. It may be that their reasonings to the conclusion are incorrect. But you see, how patient was I with him, Tonlock? See, Tonlock has witnessed me dealing with HogTieChamp many moons ago on Google+. How patient was I with him? Are you there, Tonlock?
Can I say something, Darth?
Sure, go ahead. Anyone can.
Yeah, like I didn't even know he was.
Okay.
You had experience with him on Google Plus and Discord. I wasn't
Extensive
aware.
experience with this guy.
Can anybody hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're good. Go, Ton.
Yeah. Well, yeah, he wasn't getting to the point. He just wasn't. And you were talking to him for about 15, 20 minutes altogether, I think. Maybe a little longer.
Mm-hmm.
He just didn't really get to the point also.
No, he was doing his best impersonation of Matt Dillabloviator.
Yeah, you were patient, Darth. I'll give you that. Yeah. I just didn't hear any.
The fact that people's reasoning for God are unsatisfactory, it doesn't follow necessarily from that the ground of all being is not a mind, meaning God. And you see, the reason why I can say categorically that he's a prime example of suppressing the truth and unrighteousness is because just about everybody listening, including myself, it was very obviously he was just being a chatterbox. He was just being a chatty Cathy. Blah, 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 blah. Was he specifically responding to my question? No, he wasn't.
No, he wasn't. Yeah, he wasn't. I'm trying to be
He had
nice,
no
but
evidentiary support. His evidentiary support is, well, all of these reasons people tell me for God are unsatisfactory. Well, that's not evidentiary support of the universal that you're in a not God world. And all he's just simply saying is, well, their rationales are unappealing to me or unsatisfactory, and naturalism is appealing to me. It doesn't follow from that you find it appealing, or that to you it makes more sense. That's not a rational justification. Did you catch that, Tom Rabbit? Hope you upload that to YouTube.